All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to talk Houston Rocket free agency guys to target after the season. We're going to just go through about 10 or 15 of the top free agents in 2021 in this offseason. We're just going to kind of talk about if they could fit on the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets currently have 13 wins. They are a very bad team right now. And it's looking bad, but hopefully they get the proper draft pick with a proper top 4 draft pick, top 4 protected, so they got to be bottom 4 team in the lottery. If they get a top 4 pick in the draft and you have all this cap space, I'm actually going to post a video about John Wall possibly getting bought out later today. I think they could get a free agent addition and a top 4 pick, and you're looking at relevancy. All of a sudden, maybe make a couple smaller tier moves, get some better role players on the team, on the bench. But I think this Rockets team could be – I don't think they're going to rebuild, man. I think this is really the only rebuild year. I think they're going to be a good championship team in the next couple of years here if they play their cards right. So the first free agent, the best free agent available in the offseason is obviously Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi apparently hates Texas, but – I don't understand why, if you're Kawhi Leonard, you don't want to come to Houston. If they get a top 4 pick, say you get a guy like Cade Cunningham, so you have even Evan Mobley. Either way, you have Kevin Porter Jr. and Christian Wood to build around. Those are the top 2 guys. Hopefully they continue to take that next step. But you do that, throw Kawhi at small forward, you got a top 4 pick, maybe go get a veteran aged player to fill in that 5 gap, whatever position it may be, and you're looking at a solid roster right there. So Kawhi Leonard, 26.5 points per game, 6.3 rebounds. This dude costs about $35 million. So I don't even know if all Rockets fans necessarily want to get Kawhi Leonard because he is going to be so expensive. He is going to be so expensive. So next up, we have Jrue Holiday. I have no idea what the Houston Rockets are going to do in the offseason at the point guard position. I want to say they're going to run with Kevin Porter Jr., but part of me is saying they might mess it up. But as of right now, I'm going to just assume that Kevin Porter Jr. is going to be the point guard of the future for the Houston Rockets. And Jrue Holiday, I love Jrue Holiday, but at $26 million per year, most likely, it's going to be a no from me, dog. I love him, though. I really do. So next up, we're going to look at John Collins. This is perfect. I love John Collins. He's an extremely bouncy big man. He's a beast scoring out of the pick and roll. He possesses a great jump shot. If John Wall was still part of this roster and John Collins was still on the team, you have John Collins, John Wall, and Christian Wood all running the pick and roll. It's going to be absolutely deadly because those are 3 very talented players in the pick and roll. He does need to improve his defense, but he makes very little money, so he's obviously going to get paid. That is why his contract this year is about $4.1 million. I don't know if the Hawks re-sign him because they have a lot of dudes they need to give money to on this roster. I think the Hawks kind of messed themselves up considering they're not even that relevant right now, but that's a conversation for a different day. I love John Collins. I will pay whatever price I got to pay. If John Collins wants to come to Houston, John Collins can come to Houston, man. He is a very good player. Him and John Wall in the pick and roll game. Hopefully we still have John Wall next year. That would just be absolutely beautiful. So could you imagine, imagine John Wall still on this team. You have John Wall. This is John Wall, KPJ, Kawhi Leonard, John Collins, Christian Wood. Obviously, that'll not happen. That'll never happen because it just isn't going to make sense. But that would be fun to watch. Next up, Mike Conley. This is just a clear no. John Wall. We've already got an old point guard, but Mike Conley. The difference with Mike is he can stay healthy. I would almost rather have Mike Conley right now. Victor Oladipo, I think this is a major no-go. He's averaging decent stats on the season, although he is shooting below 40% technically. He just scored 6 points in his debut on the Miami Heat, so I don't really want Victor Oladipo. I'm pretty sure that him and the Heat are going to work out a long-term extension. So, yeah, I'm just not a big – we're years removed from his all-star campaign, which – is crazy. When you go back and you look at Victor Oladipo's one good season, he played 36 games. This dude trick y'all, man. So next up we got Jared Allen. I love Jared Allen, but I'm pretty sure he actually got extended. So even if Jared Allen is available, I'm pretty sure the Cavs gave him a 4-year, $100 million extension. So we're just going to move on. But even if he didn't get that, or he turned it down, or, maybe pulled a Schroeder for some reason, but I'm pretty sure he accepted it. I love Jared Allen, but that's really, really pricey to pay Jared Allen. I mean, he's not that big of a game changer to me. Next up, we got DeMar DeRozan. I would love DeMar DeRozan. I would love DeMar DeRozan just on any basketball team in general. I don't know how much he helps out this Rockets team, because the good part about him is he can play a couple positions. He can play shooting guard, he can play small forward, he can play power forward. I don't think that they do this deal because he is a little on the older side. I mean, he can still give you 20 a night. He's putting up 20 a night right now, but at $28 million, $27.7 million, I just don't see the Rockets taking this gamble unless they're like convinced this is a championship team. Unless they're just convinced. A lot of things would have to happen. Like they would have maybe get rid of John Wall. Kevin Porter Jr. goes off in the next couple of games, and so they buy out John Wall and get a couple more free agents. I don't know how this would happen, but I don't see DeMar DeRozan hopping on this team. I definitely don't see Chris Paul being on this team again, so I'm not even going to talk about it. I don't see Kyle Lowry being on this team. But there is a player I do want to talk about because I like the fit a lot. Duncan Robinson, I think, would be perfect for this team. He's averaging a little under 13 points per game, about 4 rebounds per game, shooting the ball 40% from 3 this year. I think Duncan Robinson is just a perfect three-point shooter type of player for us. We don't have that reliable three-point shot like we used to, even just in James Harden. We don't have that anymore. So I think Duncan Robinson would just get a consistent three-point shooter. It would be beautiful. I know he's going to want a lot of money, though, so that's something to keep in mind. Lauri Markkanen's somebody to maybe consider. He's got a lot of potential as a three-point shooting big man, but they just don't always drop. And, I mean, you would think when you look at his stats, like 19 points per game, I mean, you would think that he was a much better player, but he hasn't really excited me. And, I know he's going to want a lot of money too, but I wouldn't be opposed to the Rockets. I would rather have John Collins on this team. Lastly, I'm going to talk about Norman Powell because Norman Powell is an absolute beast. He's averaging almost like 20 points per game this season. He's really cheap. He's a bouncy swingman. He's improved his touch on offense. He's become a really good three-point shooter. And then we all know Norman Powell in general is just a good defender. He's a great defender. So those are the two guys, Norman Powell, Duncan Robinson, that I really want, along with John Collins. Obviously, I would take Kawhi Leonard, but I don't see it happening. Let me know who you guys want the Houston Rockets to get in free agency. Hit that like button, hit that sub button. I'll see you guys later.